What is up, guys? It is Dedrian Colon from House of Wrestling, and I am giving you my review of the 2021 Survivor Series pay-per-view. Um, yeah, it was it was one of those pay-per-views, and the booking heading into the Survivor Series was very lackluster. If you go on pretty much every social media platform, everyone's like, it just doesn't have a feeling of something that I should invest my time and energy watching. And there are some decent matches and everything. We'll get into that later, but um, I think I don't want to say the highlight of the night, but something that stood out is Vince McMahon showing up with a movie prop. And the particular movie prop was the golden egg from the new Rock Ryan Reynolds movie Red Notice, and he's parading it around to all these WWE superstars who are clapping their hands and thanking him for being there. And shout out to Chris Real, one of my buddies and colleagues. He pointed out, he's like, it's kind of like condescending that you're doing this segment with this golden thing, and you just fired people. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, what is this? It really didn't make sense. And then later on in the second segment, he's with Roman Reigns, and he's like, this egg is worth $100 million, and no one can touch it. And Roman Reigns, well, that's how much my next contract is going to be, which is a pretty cool line, but it's just, I don't know, man, it just doesn't make sense. And then in the third segment, he's with Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville, and he's like, hey, someone took my egg. This movie prop egg, a part of the movie Red Notice. And Vince McMahon is, yeah, somebody took it. You know what? I'm going to show up on Raw. I'm going to confront the Raw and SmackDown roster. And I've tweeted this, and I am going to say this in this video. I honestly believe that we are witnessing the Mr. McMahon character turn into Mr. Burns from The Simpsons. He's showing all the characteristics of it on screen, and off screen, he's showing some Mr. Burns tendencies. It's his erratic decision making things. He is the living. His character is becoming Mr. Burns from The Simpsons. Same way in The Simpsons, stories and episodes and everything, how Mr. Burns, if the town of Springfield did something to him, he lunged vengeance on them. And when Raw and SmackDown doesn't do what Vince McMahon wants, he lunges vengeance on them. And I don't know, the segment just really didn't make sense. I mean, it was just a lot of, was it like commercial product placement advertising throughout Survivor Series, my bag. It was just weird. The 25-man battle royal, which was a Rock commemorative battle royal, which Omos won. The winner got Pizza Hut. Like, huh? Like, I don't know. It was just a real. It was a product of its booking, the way it was booked. I mean, the teams for the men's and women's Survivor Series matches were announced on social media. There's 5 hours of television on between Raw, NXT, and SmackDown, or between Raw and SmackDown. My bag. And you could have used that time to have qualifying matches, which would have been more interesting than having these matches where you announce the team and you place one member of the team in a match where if they lose, they get knocked out and the person that beat them replaces them. Doesn't make any sense. I don't know. It was just weird. So, I mean, the first match was Charlotte and Becky Lynch. That was pretty good. I personally selected it as the match of the night. It's posted on all of House of Wrestling social media. That was a solid match to open up the night. The crowd was really into it. Of course, with all the build from the interviews and the tweets and sidebars and stuff like that between Becky Lynch and Charlotte, it added to the match, and the match was pretty stellar. The ending, as with a lot of these matches, were kind of like, okay, all right, like it was just like that's it. You have a solid match. That's the ending. Like no finishing move or anything like that. Just some wacky pin roll up or something like that. It was just really weird. And unfortunately, that just added to the as the night went on. And after that, you had Team Raw and Team SmackDown from both men and women's side. I mean, the men's side, and Team Raw, Rollins, Owens, Austin Theory, Lashley. And you had McIntyre, Woods, Jeff Hardy, and Baron Corbin. And it was a pretty solid match. The funny thing about this match was that Kevin Owens got counted out like the first few moments of the match. And I'm like, that's hilarious. I don't know, man. I don't know what's going to happen with Kevin Owens. His contract is up in January. After January, there's been teases and hints of him possibly heading to AEW and join the Young Bucks and Adam Cole and reforming the Mount Rushmore. So there's a whole thing behind that. That was funny because he had like this real sarcastic, smirky look that you're just like, it's man, it's not that he's intentionally like sending the message, hey, I'm leaving, but it's kind of like you pick up on this vibe, like, man, is he like kind of sarcastically throwing out there like he just doesn't care, and is he like on his way to All Elite Wrestling? Like, is that what the innuendo is going on? But it was funny. But the match itself, it was again after the finish of the Becky Lynch Charlotte match. This match was kind of like the crowd was just all right. I think the crowd really got into it once Jeff Hardy, which was he was the final two. Um, he was one of the final two with Seth Rollins, and it looked like Jeff Hardy was going to win. And of course, Seth Rollins countered, gave him the curb stomp, and Seth Rollins wins. And that's interesting because there has been some rumblings, and people have kind of tossed the idea like, is WWE kind of sending a hint that Seth Rollins is going to take the WWE Championship from Big E, which the way WWE's booking is lately, I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. It would be unfortunate because Big E deserves better. Um, we'll get into the Big E Roman Reigns match a little bit later, but case in point, that match should be on a WrestleMania, not on a pay-per-view that pretty much was it a few years ago they want to take off and not do Survivor Series. It's one of the big four, but they've dwindled it down and booked it to the point where it's non-existent. Nobody cares. It's very apathetic, and they, again, Big E Roman Reigns should be on WrestleMania, not on Survivor Series, not on a pay-per-view that was poorly booked and built, and this so-called brand supremacy when you've released 16 wrestlers in a matter of a month, and you had a draft the month before, which was finalized right before you released the first batch of wrestlers, this month, and they're supposed to have brand supremacy when they spent 6 months to close to a year on the other brand, and they've only been on the new brand that they're representing in the Survivor Series matches, a week. Like, come on, man, that doesn't make sense. But yeah, that match, the ending was pretty decent with Seth Rollins and Jeff Hardy. That was pretty much the standout about that match. Everything else was just, all right, it is what it is. Then after that, you had the Vince Roman Reigns segment. If you see me looking to the side, I'm looking at my notes and everything. Then you had the 25-man battle royal, and that battle royal should have been on the pre-show. I know it was in honor, kind of honoring The Rock and everything. I don't know how that match honored Rock because it was very. It felt like the Battle Royal pre-shows that used to air right before WrestleMania, like 10 years ago, where it was just like, oh, okay, it's nice. All everybody's get their moment and everything. That's what it felt like. And for it to be placed in the middle of the show and have some type of, I don't know. Honestly, looking back on it, they should have had that match right after Charlotte and Becky because it just didn't, I don't know, it just didn't, Omos tossed out, was it 12 people or something like that? But what did it do? Again, like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, um, the ending, him and AJ Styles are they get Pizza Hut. Montez Ford throws pizza. It's like, what? That's what you came up with honoring Rock? Come on, man. This is, I don't know. It was just very mediocre, and just very, um, just not something that they put a lot of concentrated effort in. Just like, here you go. Let's do this. After that, you had the Usos and the RK Bro. That match was pretty good. Randy Orton's RKO is probably the highlight of this whole pay per view because what he did and how he did it. I'm sorry, the RK Bro is probably the most fun and still over finishing move in pro wrestling today because when he does it, it takes me back to the mid '90s or the mid to late '90s when Diamond Dallas Page used to do the Diamond Cutter out of any way, position, and everything, and when he was super over doing the Monday Night Wars, and I enjoy Randy Orton's matches. That was fun. Um, but again, you just had another match. Again, a lot of these matches on paper, oh man, this is really cool. But when you look at the build heading towards this pay per view, there were no stakes. And the stakes that you want to present to the fans is brand supremacy. And it's like, we kind of know that they've been there for a week. And again, it's doesn't make sense. Then after that, you had the Team Raw, Team SmackDown women's match. Um, this match, um, man, I kind of felt like it went longer than it should. It was just a lot of things were just you kind of, I don't know, maybe it's if you watch wrestling for so long and it's not knocking WWE, but it's just there's a feel to certain multi um, wrestler tag team matches. I don't want to say men or women, men matches, but it's multi wrestler uh, tag matches, and it just took long to get to the major spots and transition out of um, certain spots and everything. For me personally, and mind you, I enjoy all these performers. These women are phenomenal, but the way WWE is booking them is horrible and garbage. Um, it, it's pathetic. You have this again. I tweeted this. WWE seems to have this fascination with can they coexist, and it's a troop. Again, wrestling, you always have all these troops and stuff like that are passed on from generation to generation. It's just wrestling. That's just how it is. But this one just doesn't make sense, and it it never leads to anything. It never leads to, hey, this is a title match, or hey, this is a WrestleMania. It just leads to a feud that eventually will go away, and then there's nothing behind it, and it underwhelms. It doesn't lead to anything. Um, I was disappointed that Rhea Ripley was eliminated. And that's the other thing. Like she's been a women's tag team champ with Nikki Ash, and they've defended it maybe 2, 3 times since they won it, and it's going on what 4 or 5 months, maybe. Maybe I'm a little off with you, but it's been a long. They've had those titles for a while, and they've rarely defended them. I was looking forward to more a final um, encounter between Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair, and of course, in the end, Bianca Belair won, which in a way they pushed Bianca Belair because she was the only person on the um, SmackDown Raw side, yeah, Raw side that could that overcame all of Team SmackDown side, which was Natalia, Sasha Banks, Shayna Baszler, um, Shotzi, and it was impressive, but it was kind of predictable. But again, it just felt this was another match. Like I've said in this video before, like it just on paper these matches look really good, but leading into it there was no stakes, and you could tell there was no stakes. It was just a pay-per-view for the sake of having a pay-per-view with big names. That's just how it felt. After that, you had Vince and Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville about the missing movie prop from Red Notice on Netflix. Then you had Paul Heyman and Caleb Braxton mentions to him that yeah, the Brock Lesnar suspension is been lifted. So, gee, we're kind of anticipating Brock Lesnar to coming out, tonight, which he didn't. So it's kind of obvious that he's going to show up on SmackDown or something like that, uh, do something or vignette something. All we know is he's coming back, basically sooner than what we expected. Um, then we get to the Big E Roman match, and I don't know. It's starting to feel like the Roman Reigns character is starting to get, I don't want to say decline, but it's not becoming as interesting as it was around WrestleMania. Um, it just seems like I remember back in January, me and a few colleagues would always mention, like, hey, Roman Reigns needs to have more wrestlers around him in the, um, at the table, so to speak, because they weren't using the bloodline, or they would briefly mention it, but they weren't actually using it and had t-shirts and stuff like that. And, I'm like, hey, they need to put Nia Jax, Tamina Snuka, Naomi. They run, basically, if you look at Roman Reigns' character, it's similar to Bret Hart's heel turn. And he reformed the Hart Foundation and everything. But they just stuck with those three. And I don't know, it's scary, and I've mentioned this on other videos, and I think I've tweeted it, that WWE are in a very um, they need to be very careful because they're in a position where, God forbid, there is an injury between Big E and Roman Reigns, like it was with Stone Cold, Triple H, when Stone Cold had his neck issue, Triple H tore his quad, where they missed a significant amount of time because right now, if you really look at it, you could possibly say the one guy that they could possibly push to have some type of interest and intrigue is Matt Riddle. He's the only one that has like that character that fans could rally behind because everyone's already been used to and overexposed with Drew McIntyre because through the whole Thunderdome era. Bobby Lashley, we've just been there, done that, and everything, and they really haven't done anything with um, the Hurt Business or anything like that. So it's, if those two guys get hurt, that is not, WWE is in trouble. WWE is in trouble. And I know people are like, no, they'll fix it out. It's like, no. In order for you to make money, you need to have things that attract money. And Big E and Roman Reigns attract money. If you don't believe me, look at what Big E was doing over the weekend at the boxing match. He's been at UFC. He's been the Iowa State game. He's been on Hot 97 and everything. He's been traveling and getting his face out there and being a WWE champion as far as getting to these, mainstream events. So if that happens, they're in trouble. And this match was really good, but again, at the end, Roman Reigns wins, and um, out of all the matches where it was like, all right, this one I felt the. It's sad because it feels like they just, in so many words, put Big E like he's not Roman Reigns' equal. And granted, the character, hey, it's cool, hey, he's supposed to do that, but I feel like the Roman Reigns character is getting too. They're putting him too over. They're putting him too much. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Like they're putting him over too much over people, where it's not like, oh man, I like to see Roman Reigns, dominate, but now it's just like, all right, we kind of like want someone to beat him up. A lot of fans aren't too keen that it's Brock Lesnar because we've been there, done that, and Brock Lesnar has beat him at not one WrestleMania, but two WrestleManias. Roman Reigns has won one at a Survivor Series, but it's most of the time Brock Lesnar beat the shit out of Roman Reigns. So it's like, all right, been there, done that. But yeah, this pay per view, Survivor Series 2021. Um, Truth be honest, I gotta give it a D. It's a D. You're probably gonna see it. You're gonna see it in the bottom right corner. It's a D. Um, Again, the only thing that really stood out in this pay per view was the Randy Orton RKO. That's it. Roman Reigns. That's it. Randy Orton's RKO. Outside of that, you could have seen everything else on a regular Raw or SmackDown episode. It wasn't anything major or attracting or anything like that. So it was just like a hyped up uh, the old Raw, SmackDown Super shows. That's what it basically was on the Peacock Network. So yeah, I give it a D. We'll see where this goes heading into December and the first month of the year, January, with they announced the day one pay per view, New Year's Day. Yeah, New Year's Day. We'll see where it goes. But yeah, WWE is, man, it, that's all you can do. You can shake your head. Many people have given their takes on the current state of WWE. Me, as a lifelong fan who's watched their product since I was a kid, um, it's not good. It's not good, and it just comes across like they don't care, and they're just gonna push who they like and not who the fans like, and they're adamant about it. So I don't know, it's disappointing, but that was my review for Survivor Series 2021. Like, subscribe, share this video, follow us, House of Wrestling, all uh, on all social media platforms. If you're watching this video and you're like, man, this guy seems a little bit tired. Yes, I had a long day. Shout out to Carlos Briganti, uh, Dre Wicked, Bay Wicked, for the wonderful brunch that they threw in the Logan Square area in Chicago. It was pretty fun and everything. That kind of settled me down for watching what I kind of assumed was going to be a subpar regular WWE pay-per-view with no stakes. So they helped me ease the you could say disappointment of it or what have you. But thank you guys for watching this video. We're gonna have some more dream matches coming up soon. Thank you guys for watching those videos. If you don't know which videos those are, scroll through the YouTube channel, man. We got a lot of stuff there. A lot of stuff coming. So thank you guys. You guys have a wonderful night, and I will see you when I see you.